all start with a great idea. I just really want people to be on my tour to see more local places. As simple as that.
Aanya, Matt, so you get your name.
It was the most amazing thing ever, especially Cartoon Network. Yeah, it's like part of my childhood. It's the best thing. All the shows on there inspired me and let's just say taught me the English.
We're gonna buy them too, right? We're gonna buy. I'm gonna buy. Can I get this? Yeah. So right now, cô sống trong hẻm đúng không cô? Hả? Bỏ trong hẻm đúng không? 40.000. Ok, gửi. Ok, máy xe em.
Ok.
Cô bán không?
Does not hit the laundry, yeah? I don't want the laundry to get sugary. Come. Yes. Oh, you're. Cheers. Happy ending. Look at this.
Yes, yes.
Hey, happy ending. Oh my God. From the very beginning, like, school wasn't my thing. University, yeah, that's when I actually fell in love with the history, because I love history overall, like the formation of the earth during the prehistoric time. I love the constellation, the stars, how the supernova happened. I love all things science.
I have more like opportunity to learn, to gain my knowledge, and like spend more for education. That is the first thing. Second thing is when I'm happy, I can like change my mindset. I grow up every day for be more major, and that is the biggest thing I get from him. So I can have more confidence about myself to reach out to another aspect. But when I work with happy, he get my confidence. He give me more lessons. He give me more advice. He teach me more things about the life. He teach me how you can reach out to your customer, how you can make the business, how you can do with the thing that you have right now, like your English, your voice, your things, your knowledge.
He taught me a lot about business and marketing as well, like how to increase your own business, like not just by product, also like by the way that other clients will look at your business.
I worked for freelance, okay, as a driver, as a lead for a few companies. I was a pretty low-key guy, yeah, but I learned so much. But over time, I always think that, wow, I have these places are still have some, you know, it's not familiar to me. Yeah, it's not my local area. I knew I had to take people there so I can share the food, the taste, and the history behind it. Thank you so much. Give a big shout out to my wife. She's very shy. She is amazing. She's an amazing person. My whole team love her. She's very entrepreneurial. She saw what I have that I didn't saw in myself. I didn't see it in myself at all. She saw it. It's like, Happy, you got a great thing going on. Okay? You'll go famous. So one of the main motivation why I need to marry this girl. Because in Vietnam, you marry a girl, you marry her family. And this family is the best. One thing that my mother inspired me from all the things that happened throughout her life is that take no shit from anyone. Yeah, but be kind. My mom is the kindest person. She's so kind. All the food, all the time she cooked for me, the meal we have with the family on the floor, she gave me that. She gave me all that cultural stuff.
He's not just a tour guide, he's like an ambassador, right, for his culture.
Em nha, nhớ nha.
When you see his personal connection to the vendors, that's when you know it's not just a typical tour. Because it's not just about bottom line, it's not just about getting as many tourists on board as possible and just like Happy's not growing a tour empire, you know? He's about the real authentic experience, and it's not just about the guests, it's also about the vendors. Like one of my favorite things about doing Happy's tour is riding on a motorbike, which is already fun, right? But then with the young locals here, you know, and then just getting to the destination, you get to ask questions. It's like a class on Vietnam and on what, you know, it's experiencing through the eyes of a local young person.
On for 4 hours to feel like you're in a travel show with me. Yeah, even though my tour it feels like that it's pre-planned, but I guarantee you it's not. It changed all the time. It's the best we have, and actually tested, and it actually is the best. If it's not the best anymore, well, we're changing a new best that we just found by research, by a lot of work, that taste testing, and yeah, we put in the work to save people time. This city is nothing without its people. I don't know if there's a better word or a better way to express it, but it's just that being able to meet someone from a distant land that flew for hours to come here is just, in that short time, all of these things that make me happy growing up, going through them. If I'm able to bring them, like design a time machine to have people come back with me to see how I grew up, I would do that. Yeah, but I cannot, right? So I just give the most authentic version of that, of mine, for them. Yeah, and working for other tour company, I expected to do that, but I couldn't. That's why I started Saigon Happy Tour.
For all of us, this is kind of like a family, and we learn so much things. The first important thing is that we know how to support another people. Yeah, we have emotional support also. So you know, when you're young, right? You have so many questions about your life. You don't know where to go, which way you should go, you know, for your future.
But sometimes because the distance, because two generations, sometimes it's the misunderstanding. You need someone just like, oh, but not really far from your age to tell you the thing that you really, really want to hear at that time, and that is Happy. He stand out, he say, guys, do that. I'm here, I'm back, and I'm always here to push you up.
And every tour is a new occasion. Yeah, every tour is so different from the previous tours. Yeah.
To feel curious more about Vietnam. Yeah, to bring more spotlight to Saigon, how we live and everything. Yeah, it doesn't need to be all like sunshine and flowers. Yeah, some corners are trashy, plasticky. I want people to feel like they live here. Like they, in a 4 hour, what will they be, a hangout, a going out would be like. I held myself back with with generic weird names. There's too many of that in Saigon already. Yeah, Saigon Happy Tour doesn't make it better. But it just so happened that sometime that little, you know, a little silliness just gonna go in. Yeah, and I believe that it happened for a reason. Truly. Yeah, there's a reason why my name is Happy and I'm doing this line of work.